Yep.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where I'm having to calm myself down a little bit. I'm talking with actress, model Erika Eleniak. So, welcome, Erika.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
So, I have been. I'm going to tell you how long I've been a fan. I
Okay.
have been a fan, and I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Big Star Wars fan.
Okay.
So, around the late '70s, you did an
Mhm.
Underoos commercial.
Yes, I did. I was
You were
C3PO.
C3PO.
I was 10,
Yeah,
10 years old. Yep.
me too.
Yep. That's right. We
And
discussed that.
then,
We're the same age.
well, and then right after that, or really like a couple years after that, you did ET.
Yeah.
You were the girl in the classroom.
That's right. I
Yeah.
was. That's right. We freed the frogs and I got to kiss Elliot.
Yeah.
He was in a girl haters club at the time. He was 10 and I was 12. I was an older woman. So the whole
Yeah.
thing was rather traumatizing for both of us.
I get it. I get it. When I was fifth grade, I was the president of the He-Man Women Haters Club. And in fifth grade, we had a pretty large
Did
group.
you have a big group?
Had a pretty big group. But by sixth grade, they were all gone.
Everyone was out.
Everybody was out.
Yep. Makes sense.
But yeah, so I guess my first question is, are you a Star Wars fan?
I am a Star Wars fan,
Yeah.
definitely. But I literally am an old school Star Wars fan. So all the Star Wars fans listening, I deeply apologize. Don't hold it against me. I love Star Wars. I love all the Star Wars, but the first three for me are the ones that because I was so young and they really, they just sort of left such an impression that those are the three for
Right.
me that really, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi that just really will always be the first three, like number one.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Because we were that age. There was
Yeah.
nothing like it when it came out.
Yeah. And it just, it sort of leaves this impression on your soul that you can't,
That's
it's
right.
very nostalgic and yeah, so definitely.
Yeah. How did the commercial come about?
So the commercial was really my first. I was already acting in terms of school and in terms of some theater. And my
Yeah.
dad was actually dating a lady. This was so many years ago now, who worked for a film company. And so whenever they needed extras or for background actors or to do
Yeah.
little training films, my sister and I would do them. And then my dad asked me if I wanted to stay with it, and I was sure. I said, "Hey, why not?" Just got an agent, took some pictures, and kind of went from there. So I honestly, though, I don't remember how that particular because that was a pretty big deal at the time. It was a
Yeah.
national commercial, which was a nice spot to have, and I'm pretty sure that I auditioned for it, but I don't remember the audition.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
do.
Because it came out after Star Wars, the first one.
Yes.
Before Empire came out.
Right, for a product endorsement, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure I auditioned for it. I just can't remember the actual audition for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you were growing up, what made you want to become an actor or a model, or how'd you get into
Yeah.
the entertainment
Pretty
business?
much what I told you was that my
Yeah.
dad was, his brother was an actor, my uncle Eddie Carroll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so he was the voice of Jiminy Cricket,
Yeah. Yeah.
1973, and did a lot of big old time movies. And my dad wanted to act for a while, and so he was dating this lady in the film company, and it really wasn't something that I brought to the table and said I'm
Right.
dying to do this. I definitely wanted to model, I wanted to dance, I wanted to be a parapsychologist, I wanted to be a truck driver, I wanted to be a mafia princess. There were a lot of things that I wanted to be, but acting really wasn't on my radar at 10.
Yeah.
But I fell into it. It just kind of, I don't believe in accidents in the universe ever. I just
That's
don't.
right. That's
Things that
right.
happen in our tapestries of our, childhood and where things go and where we end up and what we choose to do and all that stuff, I think is definitely not accidental, but it wasn't on my radar. So I sort of fell into it and then just decided to stay with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It
still
does.
love
It
doing it,
completely does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you, when you were in school, did you do theater or band, play
I
sports,
did.
anything like that?
Really in high school. I mean, in elementary school, you always do, you have to participate in school plays and things like that. But in high school, I did take drama class
Yeah.
and I did take some classes. It's actually how I got ET. I was taking a class, it was at the Debbie Reynolds studio, and I was taking a kids class. And we had outside of school, and we had a
Yeah.
showcase to do. My scene partner for the showcase, it was a father-daughter scene. So, because he was an adult, we actually got asked to the adult showcase.
Oh.
I was so honored, and I got to do the adult showcase. So we were there doing the showcase, and there happened to be a scout in the audience for Steven Spielberg
Oh, wow.
who saw our, yeah, who saw our
Yes.
scene and asked me to come in and meet Steven for this part. And so
That's
that's,
pretty great.
yeah, it was really cool.
What was it like when you went back to school after that movie came out? What was that
Yeah.
like?
Well, it's funny, man, how life comes full circle. I never wanted to stand out. So
Right.
I sort of a walking dichotomy because I would like all my choices that I made, would totally contradict what I was feeling inside. So I remember the first time after that movie, I was outside of my apartment building and some little kids asked me for my autograph and I ran upstairs and cried.
Oh,
But it was mortifying. Um, I just didn't want to stand out. I wanted to fit in
yeah.
and be like every kid wants to fit in, and so looking back now and me raising a daughter now, I say we all need to stand out. We all need to stand
Right.
out fully, with our own shine and our own flavor. But as a kid, when you're going through stuff, and then too, I didn't grow up in the best neighborhood. We grew up in really tough neighborhoods, and
Yeah.
so that was a whole other thing too. Oh, you think you're all that, and that kind of thing. So there were days I had to be walked to school when I was little, or I would have been jumped, and it was kind of a different world. So Underoos stayed with me through high school. That just annihilated oh my God. So yeah, it, wasn't what probably people think, and no, not that I'm not grateful, but that just was the experience, right? It wasn't,
Well, I know how kids can be.
yeah, it was tough actually. It was tough until I got older, obviously, and got into high school, but middle
Yeah.
school is brutal anyway, junior high school, and even elementary school kids can just be so mean. So I feel like I was singled out a lot and picked
Yeah.
on a lot until high school.
Yeah. 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 No, that makes complete sense. And I'm glad you brought that up because you never think of that.
Yeah.
But absolutely, if you do an underwear commercial, even for Star Wars, and you're 10 years old, you're
Oh
going to get
boy,
teased.
you're
You're
gonna
going to
get,
get teased.
and that stayed with me through high school.
Yeah.
Literally, it was,
Yeah. That's rough. That's rough.
yeah.
What was your first acting role after ET?
So I feel like at that age, I was also doing some theater. And
Yeah.
we're in LA, so we weren't, it wasn't New York theater, but there's a small theater community when I was growing up, Theater East, Theater West out
Yeah.
here. So I was doing some theater.
Did you
I had
sing?
some, no, I mean,
Okay.
I've had to in a couple of roles, which is really horrifying if you're not singing.
Yeah.
Um, but no, always wanted to. Still might take singing lessons. I'm at such a
Why
different,
not?
right. That's how I feel today. It's like, what do you want to do? Okay, let's do it. You're so busy hiding and being in fear when you're
Yeah.
young. And so, yeah, who knows? That could happen. But so I'm trying to think, guest stars. There were some fun guest stars.
Oh, you know what? What could it have been? Silver Spoons, maybe?
Silver Spoons, that was a little bit after, but Silver
Okay.
Spoons, yes. Still the Beaver, Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, forgot you were on Still the Beaver.
I think that might have been first
What a
before,
show to be on because that absolutely connected you to like golden age of television.
right. So cool. But most people gosh, unless they're our age, don't even know, because that was even before our time. Leave It to Beaver. It was already like black and white. It was like the Beverly Hillbillies before our time, but we grew up on it still, right?
Well, yeah, TBS and cable, right. All that stuff was playing all the time.
Right. And that's what we grew up on, but it was still a little ahead of our time. So when they did the spinoff, it was perfect timing, but I think most people weren't overly familiar with it, right. At least next generation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I completely forgot about it myself.
Yeah.
I loved Leave It to Beaver, though.
It was a fun show.
It was a fun show.
It was.
It was a fun show. So I know you were on, let's see, Charles in Charge.
Yeah.
I remember you on that one, which I think, were you on that the same time maybe you did Baywatch? Or right around the same time?
No, it was I feel like it was a good solid 2 years before.
Okay.
At least. Yeah.
Because you were really busy, like late 80s, early 90s, you were really busy.
Yeah. Basically, during high school, I worked. And then as soon as I finished high school, boom, off to the races. So I worked a lot. Yeah.
I always thought you would be a really good dramatic actor. So I always looked for you in those type of roles. Yeah, I always thought you were just a really like your characters were always very believable.
Thank you.
Came across very genuine.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll tell you one that I wish had gotten more run. It was a police show, Brooklyn South.
Brooklyn South, yeah, it was a Bochco show, and I feel like we went only one season, maybe two, but I feel like one.
It was loaded too.
It was really good, and I know I'd done a 3-part arc, and we were going to keep going. We wanted to be under contract, and they were like, no, we don't want to put you under contract because we don't know what's going to happen with the show. So we just wanted to show by show. But then I felt like I was missing other work. So I ended up just doing 3 parts on it, and then the show went down. It got canceled.
Yeah.
It was a bummer. It had a great cast, and in Bochco, it had really good people involved. Even the
Those Three Blues was the show, when we were growing up.
Right.
Well, of course, he did NYPD Blue too, but
right.
I always really liked that show, and I know you. One of the actors on the show was Dylan Walsh, and you did another movie with him.
I feel like I've done at least 3 things with Dylan. I mean, we did that. We did Final Voyage.
Final Voyage, that was it.
But we did something else too, and I can't remember what.
Did like when you run into him back then? When you ran into him on set, were you like, you again?
Right. We have to stop meeting like that. You know what? It's always fun. It's always fun.
Yeah.
You get along with someone and you work well together, and you get to work together again.
Yeah. Did you have a role back at that time that was your favorite?
Definitely looking back, I had 2 roles that were, one that was my absolute favorite just from top to bottom, and that was the remake of the Beverly Hillbillies, playing Ellie Mae.
Yeah. You did such a good job at that, because that wasn't an easy role.
Oh, thank you. No, it was really difficult. There's so much that went into that people don't know about. I mean, Penelope Spheris is a brilliant director. She did such a great job. She wanted a modern spin on it, yet at the same time, you had to be really careful because those are well-loved characters that are iconic. And so anytime any actor steps into the shoes of, well, especially if it's nonfiction, forget it. Then that's a whole other, when you're stepping into a real life person, but even a character that someone grew up loving, people are already going to show up with their arms crossed going, no, wait, so trying to keep that character endearing and then true to Donna Douglas's portrayal and then get a little modern. So it was definitely tricky. We worked with a dialect coach.
Really?
Yes. And it was really extensive to get a specific Arkansas drawl. And it was I remember was Robert Easton. Oh, what a gentleman. What a wonderful man. This guy was brilliant. He could tell you what quadrant of the city you're from, the town.
Really?
He was knowledgeable. And I mean, he would give us, it would be like math. when Y commences with I, it equals this, or when S goes with in it. It was a lot. And Leah Thompson, originally they really played a lot with, they weren't sure what they wanted to do with her in terms of where she was going to be from, the nanny.
Right.
Russian, Swedish, French she ended up being. So she had to learn all these different
Oh my
accents
gosh.
until they were happy. But yeah, there was a lot that went into that. The cast was phenomenal. I used to just go to work humbled and feeling so blessed every day and just take it in like a sponge, just watching.
Yeah.
Oh my God. One of my most favorite people on this planet, Lily Tomlin, Dietrich Bader, all the Jim Varney. Oh my God.
I know, such good actors.
Just everyone. I'm leaving so many people out, but just a really great cast. And yeah, it
Was
was
anybody from the original cast still around when that came out?
Yes, I feel like. Well, we
I wondered
had,
if any of them came by the set.
well, not that, I mean, I know we had Buddy Ebsen do the cameo.
Yeah.
Did they talk to Max there? I think so. I don't think Donna wanted anything to do with it. I don't know what her personal feelings on it were. That's just what I heard. But I know we had Buddy, so I didn't really see anyone come by though and hang out or anything like that.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. And then the other one I did was the polar opposite. I mean, it was not a studio picture. It was super low budget. It was really gritty. And that was called The Opponent. And the thing with that is it came out the first time as Girl Fight, which had so much marketing and hype. And it was also a very, very, very great movie. But I feel like we definitely fell under the radar. And I think it could have done better than it did. So I was a little disappointed. But it was such an experience. It was a low budget movie.
Yeah.
Everything was sponsored. I did my own fighting. So I played a girl that was a ring girl who was in an abusive relationship. And she wanted to learn how to box. You know, no one took her seriously, bubblegum smacking, you know.
Well, that sounds like a dramatic movie.
Oh, it was
I missed that one. I need to look that one up.
The Opponent. It was very dramatic. And I worked hard on that movie.
So you had to do your own boxing?
I did. I went to New York for about 4 months. I trained where Holyfield trained, and I had like 6 different coaches, and I got hit so hard I had my headgear off. I was so mad that day. I body slammed that kid right out of the ring. No, it was crazy, but it was such an amazing experience to get to do that.
Yeah.
And I was really proud because I sat in at a Q&A and thought, well, do you really want to do this? I snuck in the back.
Yeah, right.
This could be brutal. But one of the first comments, questions that someone had is they did not know, you know, my work as an actor. They weren't familiar with my career. So they had asked if they had hired an actress who was also a boxer. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That made me very happy because I worked so hard in that department. So
yeah, that's pretty gratifying. If you did well enough that they thought you might have been a boxer.
Right. So that was cool. Then I thought, okay, my job, like it came across, right? Because this was a girl who came from no experience thing, you know, and just put all her heart and soul into it. And
that's neat.
Yeah,
Can you still box?
Favorite. I'm sorry?
Can you still box?
Oh, it's been so long. You know, the thing is, I feel like you never really lose certain moves.
Right.
You know, because those combinations too are just drilled into your head. So I would say that one thing that probably you don't lose, kind of like a bicycle, is like a foundational form.
Yeah.
How you carry yourself and, you know, how you shield yourself and throw a jab, or, you know, you remember those things. So memory wise, yeah. Stamina wise, forget it. Go
well,
that's like running a marathon. Yeah.
We all got that problem now.
Woo.
But yeah, I'm sure it is, because it's 3 minutes and I mean, you're just going full tilt.
And it's strategy. There's so much. It's such a thinking sport, and people just don't think that it is. You know, you're just out there slugging, and it's not. It's such a thinker's game.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, for sure. So when you were doing so you got the role on Baywatch, and I'm curious about that role because you mentioned, you know, you struggled a little bit internally
Yeah.
with having attention on you. But that show was such a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Still is. But back then it was crazy. How
Yeah.
did you deal with all of that attention?
I always sort of had, I feel like I sort of had a love-hate relationship with the positions that I put myself in, often,
Yeah.
and I think that I equated acting as a whole to that, and it wasn't that. I think it was more experiences that I was choosing to be a part of. It was a
Right.
real, and that's why I just know there's no mistakes. Obviously, I've had to learn how to find balance in my life and make choices that support my heart and soul too, and not a dangling carrot. Or listen, Baywatch was amazing for me. I am so grateful for all the different opportunities that it's created and what a learning experience, and all the people. And I could go on and on about how, let me
Right.
be very clear, I'm super grateful. But at the same time, yeah, a lot of it was definitely uncomfortable. When your work uniform is a bathing suit,
Right.
I mean, it puts a total spin on how you're living your life,
Yeah.
on determining how you're going to live your life behind the scenes and at home, and be confident and show up when you're not confident. And
Right.
um so that was definitely really hard for me. And then also too, why I really ended up leaving the show, I wanted very much to have a serious acting career.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we did Baywatch the first year, it was on NBC, which was the most conservative network at the time.
Right.
We did had to be by the book for sponsorship, depicted, by the book. Everything was regulation. And when the show went down after the first year and then resurfaced and went syndicated, there was a lot more creative license to
Right.
drop necklines and do Brazilian cuts on bathing
Yeah.
suits, and then it became what it was, which was, thank God for the show, for them, how wonderful, because it became the international phenomenon. But for me as an actor, then I was like, okay,
That's a lot.
it's a lot. And I think that we were kind of constantly battling with each other in terms of what they thought was sexy, what I thought was sexy. I was always kind of trying to cover myself up, and that was very irritating on the set.
Right.
The scene, so it all just worked and gelled so beautifully. Pamela Anderson came on and was there just light. She was everything that they wanted for the show, for sure. And nobody did it better than she. And for me, I was able to go out.
Oh, the alarm's going off.
Accident. All right, buddy.
Good job.
So I was able to. All right, yeah, come here, buddy. All gone.
He did his job.
All right, come here, buddy. Jack. Come.
Now he's just milking it.
No. He can still hear the truck. I think it's like Amazon or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, so it was perfect because then I was able to go, and I booked Under Siege right after that.
Yep.
And Pamela came on and really just wrecked the show in the way that she wanted to, and they wanted, so it was kind of a perfect marriage, if you will, and it was perfect timing, divine timing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
I still remember going to see Under Siege at the theaters. It's probably, I don't know, 92 maybe.
Yeah, I think that's on 92 or 93.
Yeah, I think I was either graduating college or had just graduated college.
Yeah.
But that was such a fun movie at the time.
Yeah, it was. I agree.
Yeah. If for an action movie, it was a lot of fun.
It was. And I think Andy Davis, who directed that, did a great job. Plus, I think having Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey brought such a different element to to a fight action thriller. It just brought a lot more. It enriched it a lot.
It did.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part, along with you, why that movie is remembered, because there were so many movies, action type movies like that, but that's the one, if you talk to people, they all remember it.
Yeah that was it was another one of those things, where you can, sometimes something just works magically and sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to, you can't always predict.
Did you ever get the chance to be a lead in an action movie?
Um, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I've had a lot of high action roles, with shooting and
Right.
fighting. But I feel like they're usually ensembles. I mean, I did a movie and actually we ended up changing. Boy, Jack. Okay, come here, buddy.
Just bring him on.
Come here. We do not have any more. Jack, it's all gone. Come here. No.
He's got you covered.
Come here. Yeah, it's fun shooting, like doing my podcast in the house too. Jack, come here. Boo boo. Yeah. No more. Come on.
I love that you're a podcaster because you totally get it. That's the type of nonsense we have to deal with all the time.
Between all of it, the gardening outside and yes, you have to go in between takes.
I think people get that though. The people that listen to podcasts, they get it.
Yeah, they do. Thank God.
So it doesn't affect anything.
Right.
Because we were operating we finally did well enough we were able to go and get a studio. So we're in a studio now, but originally we were just in a bedroom.
Yeah. When I first started my podcast, this was really grassroots. I was in my car. I was in the closet with the blanket over my head, trying to get the sound. I'm like, how do I not sound like I'm in a tin can? How do I did everything you could think of to try and get great sound. Now we have an amazing team, which I'm super grateful for, a really good home podcast. And so what we do is we use a virtual studio. And
nice.
It's really cool. It's called IPDTL. And basically you can have 4 different people in from different locations at the same time. So we get the producers, the guests, myself, and then our sound technician.
Oh, so you're high tech.
It's pretty great. It's not me, trust me. It is.
It's just me and my son Brett, and thank goodness for him.
That's believe me, how I did it for the longest time, and I feel super grateful to have a whole team now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the podcast. What's it about?
So it's called the Spiritual Alchemy Podcast with Erika.
Yeah, I love that name.
Thank you so much. Basically, if you think about what is alchemy, and it's taking, basic metals and turning it into gold. So the idea behind spiritual alchemy is to take the spiritual things, the things that I've learned in my life and that have helped me so much, and be able to kind of pay them forward and show people how to take those tools and change their circumstances for the better. That's the gold, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's the idea behind spiritual alchemy. So the first season, okay, enough, buddy. No more.
He has opinions.
He really does today, especially quiet. So the first season, we did a lot about various lessons I've learned. Learned. I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction. That's a huge part of how I live my life. I am a big believer on whatever you focus on, you're going to bring more of to yourself. And I
like that.
Oh, but it's so true, right? When you're
I was thinking relationships, but that makes more sense. Yeah.
Everything. I mean, it really applies to absolutely everything, relationships included. It's learning how to manifest the things in our lives. And if we don't like what's going on the outside, you've got to start from the inside to change your outer circumstances. So that was really our first season. I had some great guests coming on to share what they've learned. The second season, which we're literally in the middle of recording now. So we've got about 3 shows in the bag, but we want to get 6 before I launch this time. Because we're sort of chasing our tails, right? Throwing out one, quickly recording, throw it out. And we don't want to do that this time. So
I've been there.
I'm sure you have. It's so hard. And then for us with the team, everyone has other jobs, right? So it's like trying to schedule everyone, and it just got too crazy. So unfortunately, the biggest deal for me this year is that I lost my mom.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And she's my best friend. She's literally my best friend. And so it was beyond a rough year. She was really sick in December, and so she passed in February. So it was a very short and crazy, fast.
Quick.
Yeah, and then my stepdad followed her. he was like, if she's not staying, I'm not staying. And so he followed her in April.
I get that, but that's very difficult for those that are left behind.
Oh man. And then, and my daughter, I have a 15-year-old and she's super close to her grandparents,
Oh,
super close. So it's just been a hell of a year on top of COVID and stress and anxiety and everything else. So it really put my podcast on hold.
sure.
I would have launched, I wrote 6 scripts that I was ready for the New Year's show and everything else. And then when this all happened with my mom, obviously the brakes went on because I
Of
was also
course.
for advanced healthcare directives. So it was a 24/7 job. And so we're really late, but I feel like it's okay. It's going to take what it's going to take, but I really want it to be quality. And I'm really excited because this season's pitch is going to talk about, is there life after life?
Oh, I like that.
And we're going to we're talking to a spiritual medium who is legit. She blew my mind. I've had a couple readings with her, but
Oh, I've seen you do some you've talked about that a little bit.
yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she's coming on the show. I have 2 gentlemen coming on the show who are what we would call or have experienced NDEs, near death experiences,
Yeah.
where actually both died and flatlined and came back to life.
Oh, yeah, how interesting.
Right. What's that experience like, right?
Right.
I have a wonderful rapper, musician, fancy dancer, humanitarian. He's called Superman. And he's
Okay.
on the show to talk about his points of view on the afterlife. Oh, we just have great people coming. I'm gonna
How did
hope
you find them? How did you find the people you wanted to have
I
for
reach out. I have, oh gosh, Michael McIntosh. He is literally my favorite meditation coach of all time. And I have
Yeah.
had many over the years, and there are many that I love, but he's really, his couple of his meditations have changed my life. And I've literally just taken a shot. I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I'm reaching out and
Yeah.
I'm just going to pitch. And by the grace of God, they've said yes. Why? But like the beer commercial says, why ask why? If things are working, don't ask why.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, don't
So,
mess it up.
that's it. I'm just throwing it out there and speaking from my heart. And I feel like there's so many people I want to talk to. There's a rabbi that I want to talk to. I want to speak
Yeah.
to a priest. I'd like to speak to an atheist. I'd like to speak to a voodoo witch doctor. I want to speak to everybody about their
Love
belief
that.
on life after death and what that looks like, life after
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I can't wait to listen.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
So
Yeah,
I'm really,
that's so cool. What gave you the idea for the program?
in general, it's funny. I feel like I've been acting for 35 years plus, who knows?
Yeah.
And for me, I've always been interested in so many other things. Always. I mean, even
Yeah.
throughout my acting career, I was going to school for a very short while till I got a movie and then got pulled out of school. But to become a substitute teacher, I wanted to teach kids
Oh,
early childhood
nice.
development. Crafts. I was making wedding toast glasses. I did USDI and got certified as a wedding and event planner. I got ordained as a minister. I'm like, you know what? I'm
Really?
people. I'm gonna then no, I've done so many different things because there's so much about life that I'm so interested in. I just have this
Yeah.
great appetite to learn. And so I thought, how, with all my interests, I love teaching. I taught acting for 5 years. I taught acting as a means of therapy to kids in rehab and treatment for about 3 years. I love hosting. I love talking. And I'm thinking, I love writing. I got to do a couple of, so I'm like, how do I take
You're
all
so busy.
and make it into my job, not my job, my
Yeah.
career passion?
Right.
And I started, a friend and I decided to do a TV show together. It did not work out. But again, with the serendipity, I was co-writing, co-creating, co-producing, I was going to host. And we got a film company called A Really Good Home, Really Good Home Films, come on board.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And so then they circled back to me a couple of years later, and I had already started doing my podcast because I thought, well, this is a forum for me to do what I like to do, to talk, to write, to speak, to produce, to reach out. And they
Right.
asked me, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, I laughed. I looked up at the screen. Funny you should mention that because I am. Yeah, so that's how it kind of came about. I just wanted to find or create. I wanted to co-create something that
Yeah.
made me happy.
I,
It
I
just
love that.
fulfilled, you know?
Yeah. I love it. I mean, that's the big reason why we started this podcast.
Yeah,
Was we wanted a way for as a father and son to talk about the things that we are interested in, and then we thought, well, maybe we should talk to people that we are interested in as well, and it just kind of grew from there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
really
how you do it.
great.
And it was a really good home pictures. I always say films, and then they're like, "Stop it." It's really good home pictures, and now they're a really good home podcast with me. But yeah, it just worked out. I think that's the thing, right? We read it 9 different ways, as spiritualists too. If you're into that sort of thing, where it always, even the Bible, right? It will follow your heart, and the rest will
Yeah,
come. But that can be so frustrating sometimes when you're trying to figure out what your heart is. That
yeah.
should be the easiest thing in the world to say, what do I want? But it's not always. Not everybody is
Shoot,
born
that's the
knowing.
hardest thing
It
to find
is.
out, I think.
It is. Very rare is it. And there are people out there, and I think it's such a blessing, who know what they do the minute they can walk and talk. They know what they want to do, right?
That's
I
right.
was a musician the minute I could speak, or I have this passion for. But for me, like a lot of people, I've had to grow and evolve and cultivate my
Yeah,
likes, my loves, and become more of who I am. And that takes me to the next step and the next evolvement, which takes me to the next love. And so it's been a process of figuring out
yeah.
what.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's so great, and I love that your podcasting is it's interesting. I think because it gives anybody a voice,
Mhm.
which I think is a good thing. But that's also the downside of podcasting is it gives
Right.
anybody a voice. It's difficult to have your voice stand out because
Right.
there's so many.
Yeah, there are. There are
Yeah,
a lot of podcasts.
a lot
Exactly.
of podcasts.
What makes yours different? Absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's why also too with podcasting, it's got to be a love. I feel like it's definitely got to be something
absolutely.
really in love with, right? I'm sure
Yeah,
people think there's big money in podcasting.
no, I can assure you there is not.
I can assure you there is not. Yeah, gotta love it. Yeah,
But you do get to meet some wonderful people.
that's the truth.
Yeah, which
That's
is for me, I'm a naturally an introvert.
hmm
So podcasting has been a way for me to get comfortable, talking with people, and it allows me to, other people to hear me without me having to look them in the face, if that
Yeah, I
makes
get that.
sense.
No, I get that. Believe me, I get that. It's another reason too. I like being behind the camera because it's
Yeah,
enough. It's enough with the pressure already. It's
right.
like I just want to put on a hat and glasses and not. I think it's a great. It's a definitely a good fit for me. Definitely feels like
Yeah.
a good fit.
Are you more comfortable now in front of the camera than you used to be, or is it still about the same?
You know, Michael, youth is wasted on the young. That is one of
True.
those bumper stickers that is so annoying. It is annoying because it's
Yeah,
true.
it's true.
I am more comfortable in my skin as a human,
Yeah.
as a spirit having a human experience. Way, 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 way. But aging hasn't been an easy ride for me, which is still astonishing to me because I never thought I would not age. I never thought it would bug me.
Right.
I
Right.
never thought it would bother me. I never thought that wrinkles or any of that would ever. It just hasn't been my mindset, and boy, oh boy, it's not been an easy ride. It really
Yeah.
hasn't. Honestly, aging sucks.
It's not fun.
It's not fun on any level. And so what I'm finding difficult is back to talking about how old you feel, right?
Yeah.
Feeling the way that I feel inside, and then feeling also like my outside picture is not matching my inside feelings, and it's
Right.
really, so it's frustrating. So it's kind of it's that thing again, right? So yes, in terms of being more comfortable with myself in front of the camera, all day long I can talk to you. I don't have a problem talking. And back in the days of my heyday, oh my God, don't talk to me. I was so petrified to be interviewed on the red carpet, just like dumbstruck. What if I say something bad, or doing interviews, or oh man. Physically, when you're in your 20s, whatever, right? But yeah, sure, go out, get dolled up, it's fine, it's easy, but not mentally. And now it's sort of the other way around. It's like I'm finding myself faced with things that I don't want to be faced with, and then feeling really comfortable in my own person, in my own spirit, in my own humanity, I guess. I won't say skin. Because so it's there's no easy answer. It depends on the circumstances.
No, I get it. Like I never thought I'd say this, but I actually miss 80s hair. I had it too. We all had it. Yes, and I was like, at the time I was like, I hate this hair, it takes so long to fix and feather and all that nonsense. And now I'm just like, I wish I had that hair back.
It's funny. I was walking the dog the other day and I was thinking pretty much the same thing about how I caught myself, because it was that whole youth is wasted on the young thing again, right? Where mentally, when you're older and you're really ready for life and you want to learn and you want to get out and live, right? I'm ready. Bring on life right now. Are you?
That's right.
I am so ready. But then, the outsides and slowing down and all of that, you kind of go, oh, you've got to be kidding me. But I'm thinking, as I'm thinking this now, you can say to yourself, you idiot, how you felt when you were 20 going, oh, look at this or look at that. But then I stopped myself and I said, but aren't you doing that right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you saying to yourself? Stop it. No, like, wait a minute. Right. I'm 51 and griping. But wait till you're 65. You're going to look back and go, what were you griping about at 51?
What are you griping about? I don't know. But all I know is it takes 3 times as long to recover, and I'm always tired.
Right. Yeah, there is no... listen, and for me, I literally haven't had alcohol in 16 years. I can't even imagine what recovery would be like after a night out of like drinking or something. Oh, no.
Do you ever look back and say, how was I? Because I used to, we all did, but I'd go to school, I'd be out all night long drinking, partying, and then I'd work. Yeah. And none of it bothered me. I never felt tired, run down, anything. Now, any of that, just the mention of it makes me tired.
Right. How could you even imagine functioning or doing anything like that and going to work?
Can't do it.
No way.
Can't do it. I'm big on, I got to get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm very strict about, I have to have my 8 hours of sleep.
That's really good too. Really good for you. I'm a big sleeper too. And you don't always get it. Like, we're starting school again for my daughter and she needs time to get ready in the morning. She's a teenage girl.
Of course.
So now we're doing showers at night before, because otherwise, literally, and I'm being literal, 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Because
that's
she
long.
takes the world's longest showers, and then she's very good with makeup and hair, but she's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And then there's the fashion part of it, and it's like, okay, so
what does she think about younger you? Has she seen the movies and stuff? What does she think about your career?
I think for any kid whose parent it's just weird.
Right.
It's weird and it's awkward. We haven't talked a lot about it. I mean, a lot of the things that I've done are too risque too, that like I'm
She's
not
so
one
young.
Yeah, well, I mean, now, no, not so much. And believe me, she's my super edgy teen. So there's nothing now that's off the table that I've done. But in terms of actually, we've not really discussed it. I think I'm always still her mom. Yeah. And so when there's any notice of, sexuality or anything too, if someone makes a comment where like, she does not want to own any part of me. Right?
Well, I get that.
I'm her mama, and I totally respect that.
She don't want to think of you that way.
Right. She doesn't.
Yeah.
So some of it, and especially if she'll say that any of her friends have made comments or whatever, they're never, so far, knock on wood, I can't believe there's been nothing derogatory. Not that she hasn't heard, but that she shared with me, even when it's complimentary, she's mortified. So, so we don't really talk that much about it. We don't talk too much about it. There have been moments where her and a friend might laugh or giggle, or, I did a small part in the Blob, and they used to always.
Well, that's the one I was going to ask you about. I was like, how about the Blob? She could watch that.
Well, she could now, but her and her best friend Denver always want to watch the Blob when they were like, I don't know, 11 or 12. And it's me making out. And then I turn into a creature. So I was like, acting drunk and making out is not what I want to show my 11-year-old. So I did not let her see it. And now that she's old enough to see it, she could care less and has zero interest in seeing it. But back then I was like, no, you're not watching it. Why? I said, when you're 13, maybe you can watch it. And next year, let us watch it. No. So, yeah. So it's not really a big topic in the house.
Oh, shoot. Well, Erika, this has been great.
Yes, it has. I've had a great time.
You've got a teenager to pick up.
Yes, I do. Carpool, let me tell you something too. I am a raging carpooler. I don't want to be that. I'll tell you. I heard the best.
That's awesome.
It went viral too. It was this lady, I feel like she was from Tennessee. I don't know her name, but it was the best thing I've ever seen of her like raging in carpool. Carpool destroys you, Michael. Does something to your insides. It literally turns you into a monster. So I have to go early and park now because I cannot do
There's a show there somewhere.
Oh, there's a show in there. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. In fact, if you Google, I just think it's Tennessee Mom Carpool and Google it, you'll find it probably on YouTube. You will laugh your butt off for the longest time. Oh, it's funny.
I'm looking it up.
You got to look it up because it is so good and so accurate. And I thought middle school carpool was the worst. And it was, lanes, they're making their own lanes. No one's out there organizing traffic. People are stopping. And then the kids are, I'm like, what are you doing? Discussing what you're going to have for dinner. Move your car.
Yeah.
Get
out of the way.
People. But try high school carpool because it's 4 grades now.
Yeah.
And kids are driving.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they're not in a hurry.
No one's in a hurry. Why isn't anyone in a hurry? So I have to go early and I have to park and walk across and grab my kid because I literally can't. I can't do it to her. I can't do it to the rest of the world. I meditate in the morning. I set my intention for the day. Carpool will undo all of it. So I can't.
I'm telling you, that's a script. We need to work on that one.
All right, let's work on it. We'll do it. But look up that lady. You have to look her up.
I'm looking her up.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get her involved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the funniest thing.
Well, Erika, before I let you go, is there anything that you're working on outside of the podcast that you have upcoming that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Honestly, just the podcast is my baby right now. It's kind of where all my little eggs in the basket are. It's the Spiritual Alchemy podcast with Erika, and you can find me anywhere you podcast, Google, Spotify, iHeart, Apple. Check it out. Check out the first season and get ready for season 2 because it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I found it today, but I haven't had a chance to listen yet, so I'll be listening.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was very easy to find.
Thank you.
If you ever need somebody just to be in the background, reacting, I'm your guy.
I love it.
Everything fascinates me, so I'll be like, oh.
That's what you could do all the sound effects. Whoa.
I could do. Oh, wow.
That would be awesome.
Well, so last thing, Erika, where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Those are really the only 2 that I do. And I'm at Erika Eleniak on Twitter and at official Erika Eleniak on Instagram. Yeah,
I think you've got the check mark, right?
I got the check mark.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that.
I was very, very grateful for that. It took a while. I will tell you, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I got to work on that. I got to get mine.
It wasn't easy, but you can do it and you will do it.
Yeah, it just takes time.
So
persistence.
Reach out to me, people. I would love to hear from everyone. I would love it. Send me some messages and make sure I have all your stuff too, please. so that I can
I
blast
will.
to this show. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. It
Of
usually
course.
it takes, Brett's in college, so he's in film school and he writes, he's a
Great.
writer. So it takes him about a week or so to get the editing done, but into
Okay.
next week, beginning of the following week, we'll release, and I'll send you all the links.
Yeah, send me everything. Shoot me an email. We'll get it up.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
hold on, Erika.
Michael.
Y'all, you're so welcome. I'm going to hit pause. Erika Eleniak. Wow. That was a bucket list for me. That was a bucket list for me. I've always been such a fan of her. She was, when she was in ET, it was a girl that was my age that was cute and kind of adorable, and I've always enjoyed watching her on camera ever since then. And I saw her in the Star Wars commercial, but that was more about the Star Wars. No, she was absolutely terrific. Such a wonderful lady. I'm so thankful that she agreed to come on the show, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun for me. If you haven't done so already, we really appreciate it if you could go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod, and subscribe, or you can go to our website, meistercon.com. We've got all of our audio and video episodes of the podcast. There's like 260 of them. There's a ton. I guarantee there is somebody or something that you'll be interested in. So please, please, please check that out. Thanks to Erika. Until next time, bye everybody.